History is packed with important figures, right? But very, very few people literally redraw the geopolitical map of the world. Today, we're diving into the explainer of a guy who did exactly that, Sultan Muhammad Fatih, or as he's known to pretty much everyone today, Mehmed II. And the thing is, he wasn't just some guy with a massive army at his back. He was this incredible visionary who completely rewired the connection between the East and the West. We're talking about a life that reads like an epic movie script, taking a fragmented realm and building it into a global superpower that would run the show for centuries.
Which brings us to one of the most wild questions in history. How on earth does a 21-year-old conquer an unconquerable city? Think about that for a second. At 21, most of us are, just stepping into adulthood, trying to figure out our basic path in life? Mehmet was staring down a seemingly impossible military challenge. This was a fortress that had literally chewed up and spit out the dreams of seasoned emperors and legendary generals for generations before him. The psychological weight alone would crush most people, but he just walked up to the impossible with this chilling, absolute confidence.
And to really grasp how crazy this ambition was, you gotta understand what he was directly up against. 700 years. 700 years of total defiance. The Theodosian walls of Constantinople were these legendary, massive, multi-tiered beasts of stone that acted as the ultimate shield of the Byzantine Empire. For over 7 centuries, they had successfully swatted away every single Muslim army, every siege engine, and every naval blockade that dared to test them. I mean, they basically convinced the entire known world that this city was untouchable. No way it could fall.
But here's the thing. Mehmet wasn't just born a conqueror. He was completely forged by chaos. Back in 1444, his dad suddenly decided to temporarily abdicate, just dropping the crushing weight of an entire empire right onto his 12-year-old shoulders. 12! Imagine trying to fend off massive European crusades and super intense political scheming before you've even hit your teenage years. The pressure was insane. And that chaotic first run ended abruptly with him being deposed and exiled to Manisa in 1446. But as you'll see, that exile wasn't the end of his story. It set the stage for a really fierce, calculating return to absolute power in 1451 when he was just 19.
So what did he do during that crucial time in exile? He definitely wasn't just sitting around sulking in the shadows. He was obsessively studying. Under the strict guidance of this brilliant scholar named Mullah Gharani, Mehmed's education was just staggering in its scope. Yes, he mastered Islamic theology, but he went incredibly deep into math, astronomy, and philosophy. He devoured Greek and Roman history. He even learned Latin. He was literally studying the language and culture of the exact people he planned to conquer one day. They were deliberately molding him into a cosmopolitan intellectual, a thinker who actually understood the world, not just a soldier swinging a sword.
Because that brief, disastrous taste of being a 12-year-old leader taught him a brutal, unforgettable lesson. Power is entirely fragile. The political betrayals and getting exiled sparked this relentless, almost obsessive preparation within his mind. He learned the hard way that simply inheriting a throne or a title, that means absolutely nothing if you want to survive. If you want true power, you have to ruthlessly secure it, structurally fortify it, and back it up with undeniable, overwhelming strength and brilliant strategy.
So when he finally gets the throne back in 1451, the 19-year-old Sultan doesn't just charge headfirst at Constantinople fueled by youthful ego. Oh no, his preparation was chillingly methodical. Step 1. He moves decisively to crush internal Janissary rebellions and lock down his political base with absolute authority. Step 2. Master-level diplomacy. He signed these complex neutrality treaties with Hungary and Venice to make absolutely sure Europe wouldn't crash his party. And step 3, this is a masterstroke. He built the imposing Rumeli Hisar fortress right on the edge of the Bosphorus. He literally choked off the city from getting any vital maritime reinforcements before the fight even started.
Now, to smash stone walls that haven't budged in 7 centuries, you're going to need firepower the world has literally never seen. Enter an absolute engineering miracle, an arsenal of 70 giant cannons. Mehmed actively tracked down and commissioned this Hungarian cannon maker named Urban to design the ultimate siege weapons. We're talking about artillery so massive it took hundreds of oxen just to drag him to the front lines. Mehmed inherently understood that pulling this off required unprecedented technological innovation just as much as it required manpower. So jump to the morning of April 6, 1453. The sheer mismatch on that battlefield is just mind-blowing. Picture this, a horizon-spanning Ottoman force, somewhere between 80,000 and 200,000 elite troops, backed by a massive naval fleet of 300 ships, completely swallowing up the ancient city. And standing against that huge tide, a tiny, desperate force of maybe 7,000 to 8,000 Byzantine defenders under Emperor Constantine XI. They were so unbelievably outnumbered. But they still had those legendary towering walls keeping them alive.
What happens next is an agonizing 53 days of pure, earth-shattering attrition. They say the noise alone was deafening from miles and miles away. Day after day, Mehmed's giant cannons relentlessly pounded the ancient stone, turning sections of those legendary defenses into rubble. But you have to give it to the Byzantine defenders. They were incredibly resilient. Every single night, under the frantic cover of pitch-black darkness, they would desperately scramble to patch up the shattered walls with whatever timber and stone they could find. It turned into this massive, exhausting, blood-soaked stalemate.
So how do you finally break a brutal stalemate like that? Well, Mehmed pulled off what has to be one of the most brilliant and unorthodox tactical moves in all of military history. See, a massive, impenetrable iron chain was blocking his ships from entering the primary harbor, so he thought, okay, we'll just bypass the water entirely. In a feat of immense physical labor, his men dragged dozens of entire, heavy warships across dry land on greased wooden logs and dropped them right into the Golden Horn estuary. Trapped from both the land and the sea, the Byzantine defenses finally fractured, setting up the overwhelming final assault on May 29, 1453.
That historic victory instantly cemented his weight in the world, officially earning him the revered title everyone knows him by today, Fatih, the Conqueror. But what's equally fascinating is the secondary title he aggressively claimed, Kaiser-e-Rum, meaning Caesar of Rome. Think about that. Mehmed didn't just see himself as a victorious general, beating a rival state. He genuinely saw himself as the rightful, ordained heir to the vast Roman legacy. This wasn't just a win. This was a profound, permanent, tectonic shift in world history that formally bridged the empires of the East and the West.
But the immediate aftermath of the battle is what truly separates Mehmed from a mere plundering warlord. Constantinople was swiftly reborn as Istanbul, the buzzing, vibrant new capital of the Ottoman Empire. He famously walked into the breathtaking Hagia Sophia and ordered its conversion into a mosque. But crucially, he immediately put a stop to the traditional military looting. He had absolutely no desire to rule over a pile of smoldering ashes. His ultimate goal was to pump vibrant new life into those ancient streets and crown the city as the jewel of his expanding empire.
And his vision extended far beyond the blood of the battlefield, proving he was a true architect of civilization. Almost immediately, he codified sweeping new legal frameworks to bring order to the region. He heavily promoted widespread public education and aggressively patronized the arts and sciences. And, reflecting that highly cosmopolitan upbringing of his, he actively protected the Greek and Jewish communities within the city walls. Mehmed realized early on that if you want a truly great, enduring empire, you absolutely need the brilliant, diverse minds of all your people working together.
The guy's relentless drive simply never stopped. For the next 3 decades following the Great Conquest, he led continuous military expansions, pushing the Ottoman borders deep into Serbia, Bosnia, Albania, and far across the Anatolian plains. He was a terrifying force in perpetual motion. Actually, get this, he was in the middle of actively preparing for a massive new military campaign right into the heart of Italy in 1481 when he passed away, incredibly suddenly, at just 49 years old. 49! It's a remarkably short life when you think about it, but it left behind an unimaginably massive, world-altering legacy.
So as we've seen in today's explainer, a truly great leader doesn't just win wars. They build lasting, dynamic civilizations that literally echo through time. And Mehmed II achieved both of those monumental feats before his 50th birthday. So considering his incredibly complex dual identity, the fierce, calculating military genius who dragged warships over dry land, and the visionary cosmopolitan scholar who painstakingly rebuilt a global capital, what do you think is his true greatest legacy? Let that sink in and keep questioning the history that shapes our world today.